Hello and welcome to the Tifo Football podcast. I'm Joe Devine, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Ruben Pinder.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Disappointed.
Well, I mean, don't give the game away. You're spoiling the cricket for people who aren't watching it, but are watching you watch it in the past.
Yeah, they'll find out later.
They'll find out. Kaya Kainak.
Howdy.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Come from a wedding, haven't you?
I have indeed.
It wasn't yours.
Not mine, no.
One day, I'm sure someone will marry you one day.
Yeah, I doubt that yet.
But congratulations to whoever it was that did get married.
Yes. Will and Kanoya, I'll shout them out. Congratulations.
Will and who?
Kanoya.
Kanoya.
Yes, congratulations, guys.
Congratulations, Will and Kanoya.
There we go.
Yeah. And here we go. Oh, there he is. There he is. Crawled back out of the grave. I thought you were done forever after what you said. Apparently it was something about potatoes. I can't recall. But listen, we have... I've personally decided to give you a second chance. I was helped to do that by the HR department here at The Athletic, who said that I couldn't fire you because of your potato comment. That it was a breach of UK employment law. So instead, you will be given a second chance by me. So don't ever say it again.
I'm sorry, Joe. I will never say negative things about potatoes again.
Thank you. You can stop reading from that piece.
I feel like Morgan Gibbs White in that interview with Marinakis, where he's like, "I've never been happier to play for a club."
Good. Yes. And I love potatoes.
And I love potatoes. I've always been a firm believer in potatoes.
Yeah, I've always been a believer in firm potatoes myself, but you know, each to their own. What have you been doing? You've been away for a month, though.
Yes, well, when you sent me to the Gulag, it gave me a bit of spare time. So I've actually been writing a book.
Have you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's all I can say, really, for the time being.
You haven't got very far, then?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Will you be able to reveal more in the future?
No, it's one of those books where you write and you expect no one to read.
Every page is blank. It's actually modern art.
Yeah, it is a book about football. That's all I can say.
Oh, good.
So yeah.
Well, finally, some good press for the gulags. There's always whenever anyone mentions gulags, usually they mean it in a negative sense. But you managed to find
a gulag is a thing in one of the shooty games, isn't it? Yeah. Which one is that?
Call of Duty? An edition of Call of Duty, I think.
Warzone. It's JJ's favourite game. He'll be very upset that we're talking about it when he's not here. Let's talk about it more. I played it once with JJ.
But they call it the gulag and they just send you to some sort of like toilet facility somewhere.
It's a toilet and you have to fight with one other person.
To try and get back in.
To then respawn into the main thing.
And usually you just, your game ends immediately because someone shot you in the head and you didn't even know they were there.
Yeah.
Turns out guns are the worst for fighting.
That's been my general experience of shoot 'em ups. Shoot 'em ups, that's a very granddad thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just so we're clear, we're also aware that gulags are Russian prisons.
Yeah.
Cool. I was just like,
we know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've all this can't be the reference
the Gulag Archipelago by Alexander Solzhenitsyn, mate.
That's right.
Exactly. Good.
No, Steve, I think you're right. I think you'll find a gulag is only from Call of Duty Warzone.
You have to call it sparkling gulag when it's not from Russia.
I was like, I can't be that, but I just also have to check.
No, it's okay. We all know. And what's on the gulag today? Well, Benjamin Sesko. Could he go to a gulag? One of two options. One,
that's no way to speak about Manchester United Football Club.
A gulag in Cheshire. Another is a gulag in the northeast of England. Which would be worse? What would have the better food options midweek? Hard to know. We talk about Benjamin Sesko. We talk about why John found this transfer window to be vulgar. And no, that's not just the name of my dragon, although it is the name of my dragon. We played the separation game, a good one this week.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was fun.
But a Barclays, very Barclaysman.
It was a Barclays separation game with some lovely routes and some memory lane, wasn't it? we did. We went down.
That was the best part of the game, really, is just going, remember him.
I love remembering now. So we talked. There was a transfer window Arsenal chat. We talked a little bit. We got some of John's opinions, in which I think I quote him as saying they've certainly made some decisions. So hang on for that bit. And of course, Son Heung-min is leaving Spurs. We talk a little bit about that at the end. That's the show. I think that's the docket. Did I leave anything off, Steve?
I might have done because I only just remembered to write it. But yes, I think we're good.
We're back to calling it the docket.
Well, I've sort of forgotten, to be honest.
I don't know why the docket, because it sort of happened in between my time on and off the show. I don't really know where the docket.
Were you off the show?
He was in the gulag.
Yeah, I was.
He actually was in the gulag.
Yeah, the next great novel is what I wrote there.
I don't know. It sort of said it sometimes. Sometimes I don't say. I don't really have a thing anymore. Maybe I should try and find a thing. Let me do it. Let me see if I can do it now. If something just comes to me, okay. Well, and that's the show.
Sound like Evan Almighty.
Hard cut and blah, 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 blah. I know what you're thinking, John. You're thinking, why isn't this guy had a haircut since I was away? I know.
Not?
No, I haven't. No. You're not thinking that?
No, you're wearing it well, I think.
I thought you might have been thinking that, so I said it out loud.
I'm happy with you just the way you look.
Right. Well, I'm going to tell you anyway that it's because my hairdresser had a foot surgery.
I thought you were going to say it's because you're not going to cut your hair until Man United win 5 games in a row.
bless that man.
That's the worst hair for it, doesn't he? Or maybe
I watched one of his videos the other day though, and he'd tried like a curling cream. It looked pretty good. He had curly hair afterwards instead of the sort of straight up fro. Anyway, no, my barber, not a barber. My hairdresser, very important. I didn't say barber. He had a foot surgery. So he's not, and I've been going to see him for 10 years. This is actually his second foot surgery within a year. Other foot, same surgery, other foot. And I don't know about the rest of you guys if you've had long, loyal relationships with your hairdressers, but I've been seeing him for 10, 15 years. And I can't bring myself to go to another hairdresser. So instead, I have to just have longer hair, But I thought that's what you were thinking, so I thought, I'd say it out loud.
Did he drop the scissors on each foot? Is that?
Yeah.
I guess that's a fairly regular.
He likes to do a pair
should
of
stop
scissors
cutting
in each
hair.
hand.
He should stop cutting hair with flip flops, shouldn't he?
Yeah.
He's Edward Scissorhands, and both of his hands fell off at the same time. Yeah.
What's the difference between a barber and a hairdresser?
Well, there are things I could say that I think would be wrong.
They're kind of gendered terms-ish, aren't they?
I think they are, but I also think a barber is, in my estimation of it, a barber is someone who uses clippers to cut men's hair short, right? And a hairdresser is someone who deals with longer hair. Having said that, I'm not suggesting that there's no skill in barbery. Is that what they would call it? Barbery?
No,
Barbering, I think it's
barbering. Because
hairdressing.
So, I've seen those Turkish barbers. Wow, they do a fine. It's not like there's no art in it. But I do think that's Steve, have you got the definition, the difference of the definition?
Surely all barbers are hairdressers, but not all hairdressers are barbers. That's how I would go.
Essentially, yes, that. I mean, increasingly, as we enter this AI-influenced world, the Google AI overview of it says, while both barbers... Or did I write this? Because it's hard to say. While both barbers and hairdressers cut and style hair, their focus and expertise differ. Barbers primarily specialise in men's haircuts, beard trims, and shaves, often using clippers and razors. However, hairdressers offer a wider range of services, including cutting, colouring, and styling for both men and women, with a greater emphasis on versatility and creative techniques.
Yeah.
According to Learn Drive courses.
And you go to a hairdresser.
I go to a hairdresser, but this is the funny thing about my hairdresser is that it's two brothers. Who they're two brothers. They're from London,
but you only have one of them.
I only see one of them. Yeah, and I said to the one who had the foot surgery, like, I could always see your brother. He's like, no.
I thought this was going to be some kind of prestige plot here, where you worked out one was different from the other because he injured the other foot.
Yeah, hang on a second. He's limping on the wrong foot. No, they're two like London brothers. Basically, you'd look at them, you'd stereotype them, you'd go, "You're barbers," but they're not barbers. They're hairdressers.
So do they wash your hair? Going by that,
they wash my hair first.
And do they colour it?
No, I don't. Well, I don't, but they do. They're always colouring someone's hair when I go in there,
okay. And
he's always trying to put stuff in my hair, and I always have to say, "No, stop putting stuff."
But you
in my
could
hair.
just go to a barber and end up with the exact same haircut.
No.
Yes, you could.
No, I couldn't.
Okay.
I don't believe I could because I've got long enough hair that most of my hair is cut with scissors and not with clippers. Almost all of my hair is cut with scissors.
More or less the same as mine. That's what I get. I've got a long top like you.
Then you go to a hairdresser.
No, I go to a barber. It's called Ed's Barbers. And I've been going there for like 20 years.
I think that's 20 years.
Actually, I think you should be named Ed's Hairdressers. You're incorrectly named.
Although they haven't put an apostrophe in
Nice.
Ed's, which really bugs me, obviously.
I thought the
Where is
grammatical-
Ed's Barbers?
In Merton,
Is it like
SW19.
There you go. See, my hairdresser has said to me, because he knows what I do for a living, he said to me before, "Can you promote my hairdressers on the podcast?" And I said, "Absolutely not. I don't want I don't want it to be hard to get an appointment here. I don't want to see anyone I know here. I want you to remain unsuccessful, just to cut my hair.
Successful enough to stay open to cut your hair.
To cut
and
my
nobody
hair.
else.
Exactly. Yeah. But you've just straight up named Ed's
Yeah.
Barbers there.
That's good barbers.
That
You
feels
don't live
like
in
a-
SW19
Not
anymore,
anymore,
so do you
no.
travel back in?
I do, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Same for me.
There are so many barber shops near where I live now,
Right.
but I don't. And because that's near my dad's house, I use that as an excuse to pop in.
Well, there you go, listeners. Check out Ed's hairdressers in
Kaya
SW19.
doesn't have hair, famously. So
That's what the
How long have
headphones
you
cover.
had long hair for, Kaya?
I've gone sort of in and out. I grew it long during lockdown, as most people did. I actually had curtains for a while, and I dyed the curtains bleach blonde, and that was a
Yes.
bad look.
David Beckham, 1996.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a
Good
rough
lord.
time.
Yeah.
Then I grew it out after that, and then I cut it. Well, actually, I went in to get the curtains again into the barber shop, but the barber did such a bad
And
job.
he said, "My friend, no."
Yeah, exactly. Well,
what
he
made
sort
you
of
want? What
did
made
that
you
for
want
me.
curtains? Did you think it was cool?
Just deep self-loathing, and just like thinking that I needed to sort of exude that somehow. But yeah, it was a poor decision, and he cut them so short that I sort of tried to take a corrective measure of kind of like sweeping it to the side, and decided to have short hair after that for a couple of years, and have been growing it out ever since. And
Right.
yeah, this is really fascinating.
Are you going to keep
Exactly.
going? Is it going to get to shoulder length? or-
No, I cut it relatively recently. Actually,
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I cut it. Yeah, I was at weddings over the weekend, so I tried to cut it to
Right.
look vaguely presentable
Yeah.
for that. But yeah,
Well, that's the thing about the 21st century, isn't it, Steve? Men can have their hair however they want, even if they want it to be like Kaya's hair. They can have
Absolutely, yeah.
that. Looks good.
Whether
More
they
than
should
welcome.
is different.
Yeah. Do you know who else has got hair?
Great segue, Jeff.
Is it Benjamin Sesko?
It's not. It's Benjamin Sesko.
Oh, wow.
I think it is.
I
Anyway,
anglicised it.
I'm just sort of saying it in a way. Meanwhile, I was sort of my work laptop was telling me that new managed login items have been added. Every time they say that, I think, what are they? How are they tracking me now? I hope they want to know about Benjamin Sesko. Anyway, Benjamin Sesko, let me tell you a little something about this. Newcastle United, I don't know if you saw this over the weekend, John. They had a bid of 80 million euros for Benjamin Sesko. That was rejected by RB Leipzig. Now, of course, Sesko's deal runs until 2029. He signed a new contract last year. When he signed that deal, though, it did come with the understanding that if an elite club, and maybe we could argue about this, offered in the region of 80 to 90 million euros, then Leipzig would allow him to leave.
Which is presumably why he's still at Leipzig right now. Yeah.
Well, Newcastle's bid is reportedly 75 million euros up front with a further 5 in potential add-ons. However, Man United are also reportedly interested in Sesko, and the Slovenia striker yet to make a firm decision on his preferred destination, because it's been a bit of a summer for him, I suppose, hasn't it? He was monitored by Arsenal for a long time before they opted to go for Victor Gyökeres instead, who they signed last month. Chelsea had also admired him for a long time, but they went forward.
Because he exists.
Yeah, because he exists and is a young striker. But they signed Liam Delap and João Pedro earlier in this summer. So I suppose options for Benjamin Sesko are, potentially the most likely one is stay at Leipzig. I mean, if he signed a new contract last year, he's not necessarily doing him any harm. I'm curious to hear what you think. If your options and you were Benjamin Sesko, will go to Manchester United, go to Newcastle United, where presumably one would expect you would be replacing Alexander Isak, not playing with him, or stay at Leipzig for another year and potentially look for other opportunities. Although a lot of nines have been signed recently, I feel like I'm not sure which elite team is coming on the market next year.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the context of this conversation, right? Is that both of the clubs that we're talking about here have tried to sign other strikers this window and not been able to get them. So Manchester United wanted Gyökeres, which makes sense given that he played under Ruben Amorim. Newcastle wanted Hitij and then got gazumped by Liverpool.
Yeah.
So
Who could gazump them further and take Isak as well?
yeah. Much gazumping has been going on since I've been away.
Yeah.
And I feel as though there's been a real march on the striker market this summer. So it sort of feels to me that Sesko I don't know how high up the list he was for these two clubs ahead of the summer, but it feels as though I don't know. I play fantasy football draft, And when you're doing the drafting at the beginning, because there's only a limited number of players, there's always a moment in your draft where someone will go for a goalkeeper, and everyone's like, "Oh
Shit.
no, we've got to go for a goalkeeper," and so everyone just suddenly ends up with 2 goalkeepers in the next picks, and it feels a little bit like that's what's happened in the striker window. And I think that adds a sort of interesting element to this, because Benjamin Sesko is very different from the strikers who've played under Ruben Amorim previously. So this represents at least some kind of shift, I think, in terms of what you might expect Manchester United to be looking for. And we can talk about how that would work out. With Newcastle, I think Newcastle is maybe the option I would recommend he go to, just because the play style that they have, I think, will suit anyone who can play well in sort of direct football in transitional moments. And I think the worry that a lot of elite clubs probably have with Sesko is he's young. He has incredible physical attributes. So 6'5".
He's 6'5".
He's rapid.
I didn't know that.
He has good feet for a big man.
Wow. He sounds like me.
Yeah. In many respects, that's the profile that I think that he fits into, the Joe Devine profile.
Yeah.
So I think in that sort of situation, I think there's a sense with which Newcastle could sign any profile of striker who would fit within those broader parameters. Manchester United, I think, is an interesting one, because usually what you see from Ruben Amorim strikers is guys who channel run a lot. So weirdly, Rasmus Højlund, I think you would generally consider him to be a good Ruben Amorim profile. Someone who's going to run into channels, going to be able to hold the ball up, bring players in, make those outside to in runs. Sesko, I think, is less that. But then I think if you look at the players that Man United have brought in this summer, in Mbemo and Cunha, those are both guys who can do that from the number 10 spot. So whether or not that represents like maybe a slight movement away from what Amorim's done in the past, I don't know. The other thing to say is it could just be the case that Amorim's just going to, Manchester United under Amorim next season is just going to lean into being a super transitional team. They'll think we brought in 3 really good transitional forwards. We're just going to try and create those moments where we're attacking a lot of space, and if we do that, then it will sort a lot of problems that we had last season out as well. So I think both of these signings interesting, and I think both interesting because they sort of take both teams in directions that you might think are slightly different from where they've been. But I would maybe tend slightly more towards Newcastle, not least because Newcastle also have Champions League football. They also have I think they also have a clearer sense of what they will look like playing the way that they do with him in it, whereas maybe a little bit more uncertainty with what Manchester United will look like next season, especially given the season they had last year. Although I do think that no Europe for them will put them in a good spot for him too. So really interesting to see where he will go. What was the other option? Staying at Leipzig.
Yeah.
Well, potentially.
But then the question there is more. I don't know, when you think about teams that might need a striker next summer, I feel like many of them just bought one. I don't know what the market is going to look like or the requirement is going to be for those truly elite teams, or at least I'm thinking, specifically in the Premier League. There's always the option, I suppose, that maybe this could be Harry Kane's last season at Bayern. Like maybe that's an option.
But Real Madrid will be looking for a striker, it feels like, at some point.
What, when they give up on playing Mbappe through the middle?
Well, they'll sell Vinicius Jr., right? And then move Mbappe out wide, I suspect, something like that.
That was the thought, but then the question is like always.
Striker, do they?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Lewandowski is getting on.
Where are they going to find 90-odd million from, though?
You'd be amazed how you can find money.
Just down the back of the couch, isn't it?
Laporta's sofa has a really deep back to it.
The problem with Barcelona is eventually you run out of other people's money, right? I think that's the quote.
I would say, though, I don't want to... Obviously, I run the risk of getting caught in the same trap that people get caught in every summer. But whilst we know that Manchester United is a bad option for players to move to, because all you have to do is look at every player that's moved there since Alex Ferguson left, and how their career has panned out afterwards. You wouldn't necessarily want to miss out on being on the train heading back up the hill. I do feel as though there's a little bit of positivity around Manchester United this summer, this pre-season. They've made 2 good signings of players that I think will benefit the team, will score goals. They've weathered some of the worst blows possible last season. I just don't see a world. I don't truly believe they can be relegated, right? So I don't think it can get worse than it did last season.
So you're saying that,
It can.
saying that Sesko should just be positive that he'll still be in the Premier League in the following season?
I think we're about to watch Manchester United improve on the last season. I'm not saying I think we're about to watch them win the league or get back in the top four or anything like that.
Because we did this last week. Did you watch or listen last week?
I didn't know.
No, Joe's prediction for Manchester United. Guess
What
where he put them.
I reckon he was said 5th.
I think
it was.
I think he started off saying top half, and then like 5 seconds later said 7th.
7th, I said.
7th, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, Kai. You're Benjamin Sesko now because you are basically the same height as him anyway. So you can understand.
The long hair's giving me the extra inch.
Yeah, it is, right. Is there anything, you're a player, is there anything about Manchester United this summer, going into the new season, that is maybe a draw, aside from the fact, of course, that like they probably have a better training facility and a better I think one could argue that more players would be happier to live there than would be happier to live in the northeast for Newcastle. That is one of the reasons that makes it difficult for people to move to Newcastle, right?
Yeah. Also worth mentioning in the context of this that Leipzig will have no European football at all next season. So in terms of what the year or so ahead Benjamin faces.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like he is probably up there with one of the most exciting strikers in Europe. If you look at the teams who are interested in him and the teams who are tracking him and the sort of the list of suitors he's got, I think for him the appeal of going to Manchester United is being, I guess, the man, the saviour, and like lots of players will have that in their DNA that they want to go. Particularly strikers will want to go and be the guy.
Yeah.
And if you're the person who lifts them up, pulls them out, the phoenix rising from the ashes and all that stuff, if you're the guy who spearheads that, then you are a legend. And, despite, I think it's similar to how, AC Milan are still able to attract really good players despite the fact that they're not doing that well and haven't done that well for a while. It's because the name and the history and the prestige of the club is still a big deal. Like, as much as we joke about United being awful, and they were awful last season, and they've still got glaring holes in the squad, like I think the wing-back situation still hasn't been sorted. Like if Ruben Amorim's going to play that system, he needs better wing-backs because that's going to be crucial, and we still don't really know what's going on there. But if you're Benjamin Sesko, Newcastle is an attractive offer because it's weird, Newcastle, because it felt like they were a club on the rise, obviously with the influx of the Saudi money and lots of signings in terms of Isak, Tonali and those kind of exciting players, Gordon as well. But now it feels like that project's maybe hitting a little bit of a bump. And I don't want this to be sort of taken too negatively because I think it's something that can be, they're still in the Champions League.
Sure.
And they have a really good chance of being in the Champions League again next season. But they're struggling to attract the big players. They're struggling to get the players they want.
It's not obvious to see where the next step up comes from.
Exactly. I can't see Newcastle necessarily being a league challenging team within the next 2 or 3 years, which at 22, Sesko will probably want to be thinking about. I can't see that with Man United, but you can see it being a thing more, maybe, in the sense that they're a massive club.
You can see them getting better, improving on last season.
Definitely.
I don't know if you can see that with Newcastle.
Newcastle's trajectory is so delicate, though, isn't it? It's like they missed out on a lot of transfer targets already this season. James Trafford recently, which is why they pivoted to Ramsdale. Joao Pedro they were linked with, and Burma would have been perfect for them. If a couple of these come off, maybe Isak doesn't agitate to move as much. The trajectory continues on a kind of upward positive momentum. Miss out on a couple of those, suddenly Isak now agitating to leave, and then new transfer targets therefore go, I don't know if I want, because it's still all relatively new. Whereas like Kai kind of explains, the Man United appeal is like longer lasting. It's a more...
It's like a honey trap, isn't it? It's like, if you think about it in this context, that all... footballers, coaches, potential managers, whatever, the only way they ever get to the position where they might be offered a job like to manage Manchester United is if they're completely insane and they've like dedicated their life and their career to total self-belief and all of the other, crazy like mental gymnastics that these athletes have to go through in order to put themselves in those positions. Otherwise, you're just not there, right? And then you sort of multiply that with this job where the narrative is undoubtedly like the best possible narrative you could think of in football. If you're the person to turn Manchester United around now, you'll be remembered forever. I mean, is there another job where the potential upside is so high? I don't think there is. I can't think of another story that you could take in football today where the story could be so high. So it's a sort of it attracts these people and then it crushes them like a black hole, Kaya.
Yeah, one thing I would say, just at Sesko, again at this 22-year-old stage of his career, that is a lot to take on, and it's his first big move. So does he want to be being discussed by Roy Keane and Gary Neville on Super Sunday every week? Does he want to if he has one bad game, does he want it to be a crisis? Can he cope with that?
Sure.
Or the option to go to Newcastle is, Newcastle's still a big club, but the level of scrutiny won't be as intense, and he'll be able to develop a little bit more slowly and quick and sort of away from the spotlight, which may be what he needs. But if like you say, if footballers have that personality and this abundant self-belief, a lot of them think they can be the guy who hasn't been the guy before. So yeah, that's the sort of dilemma.
Do you think you can be the guy?
Do I think I can be the guy?
Yeah.
No.
Like if you do you think? I'll ask you as well, John, because you're one step closer to a football coach than Kaya is.
Yeah.
No, serious. Okay. Listen.
Okay.
Do you think you could turn Manchester United around?
No.
And that's why he's here with us. No, not working in football.
I don't know. That sort of thing doesn't motivate me either.
What doesn't motivate you? The notion that you could, if the only thing stopping Manchester United from being Premier League winners again is you, that doesn't
John
motivate
McKenzie
you.
away from being a Champions League club again.
Having everyone in the world know just how good your qualities are.
But I think for them, in that respect, I think the solution for Manchester United isn't going to be like a coach who comes in and turns things around. I think it's going to be like boring, long period of making good decisions in various spheres, like the market. But
sounds
also,
good. So I know the exact guy who could
care about that. I don't know, and I think maybe this brings us on to the next topic on.
It does. Feel free to move us on.
Yeah, well,
subtitled Transfer Ick.
Yeah. This all started because I was asked what I wanted to talk about on the podcast today, and I don't know. I've just had a sense this window, and I preface this by saying it could just be that I'm getting old, but this transfer window has felt quite vulgar. In many respects, and vulgar in the classic sense of the term, in the sense of it's almost quite decadent and
right.
Gauche.
Gauche. Yeah.
It doesn't make you feel sick.
No. Well, no.
Vulgar. Sounds like the name of a dragon, doesn't it? When you say it like that. Vulgar.
Yeah, it's the sort of word where I expect it to have referenced some kind of tribe in the Eastern Europe in the Roman era, right? Yeah. The Vulgar tribe.
The Vulgar tribe.
And I guess the thing for me is that I was looking back on it and thinking, 20, 30 years ago when we were watching Premier League football.
Back in my day
when everything was great.
Yeah. When there was only one game of football on telly a whole year.
Yeah. And it was the Community Shield.
Charity Shield.
Charity. When charity mattered.
Yeah.
Back in
now
the
it's
day.
just Community.
What they renamed it because
there was none of the
there wasn't enough charity in the
utter woke nonsense. I think back in the day, each team, the big teams had lots of good players, but most of the other teams would have maybe one player. Your squad would have loads of holes in it, and you would, get really excited about bringing in maybe a couple of players who might be able to fix some of the problems you have. But it felt as though there was a sense back then that your manager would then get this sort of ill-fitting, ill-conceived squad and then try and make something of it and solve problems.
There was a job to do,
inevitable. Yeah. Whereas now, I just sort of feel as though we've got into the headspace of, we've got these tactical issues. Therefore, we solve them in the market now, and it's
right.
And obviously that still requires coaching, right? Because a lot of these great Mikel Arteta, I think, is a great example of this. A really good coach, but clearly someone who uses the market to try and address issues that he sees in the previous season.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if maybe I'm just wildly nostalgic and misreading this, but I did sort of feel I feel as though now there's less scope given for coaches to be able to fix those problems.
I wonder, though. I think that's an interesting point, and it is possibly true. But Kaya and I were talking about this the other day. I think we're going to make a video about it. We haven't started writing the script yet, but we talked about it. Do you remember the idea about how as sports take on more and more analytics and start to use data more, there's a period of time where, we'll put it this way.
Oh, yeah.
No one's using any data, right? And then it's all even, except the only differentiator really is the let's say in this example, like the coach and how you use the players to make the difference and whatever, or at least in the data example, that you have smart people who are able to sort of interpret what they're seeing anecdotally. They might not have the data to back it up, but they can say, oh, well, our striker isn't scoring very many goals, but I know the striker to be a good goal
So
scorer.
stats versus eye test, basically.
Yeah, so it's like using eye test instead. And then data was the ability to collate data and then to use it was created. And obviously other sports first, and then comes to football, and teams start to use it and they start to notice things that they otherwise didn't notice, right? Then there's
like what?
Like I don't know, stuff in the aggregate. I don't fucking know. I don't know, but they clearly are, right? Or like maybe for recruitment purposes, they're like
Sure.
able to see, or there's a kid in a league that we're not actually following, but like maybe would be worth watching. That sort of thing. Then in my hypothetical, there's 100 years where every football team that can afford to use this at the top level takes it on board and hires enough people, and the slow bureaucratic turnover of like the perspective and of those sorts of companies, how long it takes them, 100 years. And then when you get to the other end of it, every team is basically using data in the same way to the maximum level of efficiency, and therefore there are not really any more minor gains to be found. Once you're at that point, it starts to go back to the other way, where like now there's a new flaw. You now need smart humans again to make assessments and observations that the data can't make. And I wonder if with the coaches it's kind of the same, right? Like we've just been through an incredible period of upskilling of coaching in the Premier League, for example, where almost every coach is incredible, like absolutely amazing at their job. The best maybe 20 coaches in the world, you could make an argument, right? So there's only the very few gains to be found, because things are happening at such an efficient level already that really the only place left to find those extra gains is in the transfer market, bringing in a new element, adding a new element. Could that be the argument as to why this is the case?
I have a few things to say on this. I think for me, the biggest thing, the biggest area where data has an influence is, as you say, on recruitment, right? It's making everyone who is a potential talent available at the click of a button. That doesn't mean to say that, when you find someone in the Ecuadorian league and look at them, that they'll necessarily end up being, a top level elite European player.
Yeah.
But it makes them like viewed in some way. And usually what will then happen is that you will send your technical scouts out there to watch them or do video scouting. So I do think that, I don't think that, and this is maybe controversial, and it has been controversial in the past, but I don't think that data has really changed the way that we view football in any way. I think from a tactical point of view, there's not many areas where what we have learned from the data has actually evolved the game in any way. Generally speaking, I think the game evolves because something happens, and then coaches and players and this happens within various regions, and then it sort of cross-pollinates. They find solutions to problems, and then that's where the tactical evolution of the game happens.
Could that be about to change, though? Because you and I both know somebody who's working on something which is completely different to this.
That's so
using artificial intelligence.
Potentially, I think. So the rise of tracking data, the rise of machine learning, these sorts of aspects could definitely have an impact on the way that we view the game. But right now, I don't think that data has done a huge amount in terms of changing the way we view the mechanics of the game itself.
From a coaching perspective.
Yeah. But in terms of recruitment, obviously, I think, and what that's done is it's made teams better equipped to actually recruit well. And with the influx of money into the Premier League, I think now what we've arrived at is a world where every team has good players. Even the teams in the bottom half, like 5 or 6 good players in a like we said before, it would be 1 or 2, and you would try and make the most of what you had. Yeah. And I think the players are obviously always going to be more important than anything else in football, because if you have the players who can do things, then they do things on the pitch, and that's essentially all you're wanting to do. And you're going into a game, you want players to do things, and you can augment that with coaching. But if you don't have the players, the coaching will only get you so far.
Sure.
And so I think what's happened now is that because we've had that shift now from like coaching actually maybe being slightly over emphasized or optimized when there's fewer players, because you can say, well, we can raise the ceiling with these players through good coaching, to now when you look at someone like Liverpool who signed, Ekitike, Wirtz, and then maybe Isak as well, there's a sense to which you kind of say, well, all the coach has to do here is just put a system in place which is good enough for those players to be able to do the things they do well, and they'll probably
it's
be
too
okay.
easy for them, John.
Not too easy. I just think
Ruben,
it's a different.
do you agree with
it's
John?
a different challenge, isn't it?
The
But
coaching
it's
doesn't
too
matter.
easy.
It's too
Coaching
easy.
doesn't matter anymore.
I don't know. I would rather let
I
John.
spent so long trying
I'm
to
just joking.
nuance
I'd rather
that
let
argument.
John finish his point rather than bastardize.
Oh yeah, get wrecked.
I'm also very distracted by the cricket.
See his eyes just keep going back to. But I guess my point is more. It's like a very different. Coaching has now taken a very different role, right? Coaching is now about making sure your elite players are fitting into your team as well as possible, and given the requisite level of freedom, without that freedom becoming so much that you lose all kind of structural, all sense of structure.
Because they're not managers anymore either, right? Even most of the time, their position of authority within the club, their seniority, has been reduced because these other areas have been built up, and directors of football exist now. Yeah.
And this is my bias, right? Because I'm like a tactics guy.
Yeah.
And
you've got many ongoing feuds with data people.
No, the data stuff like is whatever. But I think what's really interesting is that in the modern context, what we're starting to see now is a lot of tactical conversations mainly being actually player focused. So even 5 years ago, I think a lot of the online community, you'd come across a lot of tacticos where they would be writing about, oh, this is the way that the team is playing, and here's the ideas, and here's how you can improve a team. Whereas I think even in the last 5 years, everything is now shifted towards talent ID, and player conversations, because that's where the value is, right?
That's where professionally the value is.
Yeah.
Right? Like in order for those people to ever work in football or find a job, it becomes inevitably about recruitment.
Yeah, but I'm going beyond recruitment as well, to the extent that I think a lot of the guys who now would talk about what I would deem to be like more tactics. There's obviously guys out there who are like, here's a player who's coming through who's going to be great. But I think a lot of them now are thinking in way more individual terms about tactics than they are in terms of the collective, because as I was saying before, there's an extent to which if you have really good individuals, the collective aspect does maybe slightly wane a bit.
Right.
Wane.
But it's why international football is still really interesting, because you can't just go and sign a player to fix a problem position. And I think that's possibly innovation that it could be coming in the future. One of them is more high-profile coaches going towards the international game, like Pep Guardiola, for example. Once he finishes at Manchester City, I think he might be looking for a new challenge, and he might think, oh, well, maybe an international team could challenge me in a way that I've got this box of tools and I have to use that only, and I can't go out to the store and get new tools. I have to focus on this. You
love Thomas Tuchel, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
And that's why every international team has a weakness, which makes the tournaments fun.
It's what makes it so good.
The star-studded teams might have a crap left back.
Exactly.
That's their weakness. Yeah.
What's our new weakness now? England, because it used to be mentality, but now that's fixed.
It's mentality again. Actually, it's circled round. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. No, it's the lack of a line breaking number 6.
Right.
Of course, that player does exist.
John Stones.
Adam Wharton.
All right. Well, there we go. That was fun. Listeners, leave us a comment if you can think of something that data has changed about a coach's perspective on football.
People will say shooting locations, I think.
Right.
XG, yeah.
But I sort of push back against that, because I think
we always knew where to shoot from, didn't we,
Yeah,
John?
well, I think that's true. Like people know that there's better and worse shooting locations, and that's
so we're not asking for stuff where data has just confirmed something we already knew. We're looking for an example of where data has told a coach something that they didn't already know about the way they manage their team, not about a new player they can.
It kind of fills in gaps that your eyes miss, right? Like you might see a player score a lot of goals and whatever, but then if they are taking shots from stupid positions a lot of the time, but you've forgotten that because of all the goals they scored, that is more helpful context.
Shooting locations have definitely improved.
Yeah.
And that I'm sure there is some extent to which, now that we have the data, we can say to guys, this is why it's better to shoot from these dangerous areas. And I'm not a guy who's like, you should only ever shoot from the 6-yard box. Like there's context in which you should shoot from long distances, I think. But I think what happened is that teams got better at being able to get the ball into the areas where it's better to shoot from, and again, I think that's a tactical. I don't think Pep Guardiola was like in the early 2000s. Oh shit! I didn't realize that if we shot from closer to the goal, we would be more likely to score from there. I think his realization was always, well, how do we get the ball into those areas with a level of sustainability and repeatability? Right?
Yeah, that's true. Do you know my favorite tactic? Didn't have anything to do with data, I don't think. I think it was just a clever tactic.
4-4-2.
No, that's a formation.
Oh, sorry.
You'll never get it anyway, don't worry.
Is it eating chocolate?
It was a Sean Dyche tactic at Burnley.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
The funnel.
You're going to say like blocking. They would work it so that opponents were always hitting the shots straight at the centre backs or something.
The goalkeeper.
The goalkeeper.
Yeah. Like they used to have this thing. I don't know how like intentional it was, but it seemed to happen so regularly that it must have been where Sean Dyche, I think, had realised that it was beneficial if he could encourage the opposition team to just take more shots from distance. Right. And he would make sure that his defenders always stood in a funnel formation in front of the person who had the ball so that they at least had a clear look at goal. But at the bottom of the funnel was the goalkeeper who would almost always make a save.
So you're narrowing the target.
And then stat pad all the defenders' numbers.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then idiots who look at data and go, he must be good because he's made loads of blocks, overpay for their players.
Right.
4D chess from Sean Dyche.
There you go. Sean Dyche the king.
Another tactic I like that PSG, I saw them doing it in the Club World Cup where they take kickoff and just boot it forward into the corner so that their whole team can then squeeze the opposition into their own third.
Like NFL.
Yeah. Me and my brother have been doing that on FIFA for ages. We used to compare it to rugby. You know how like in rugby you might see a kick that kind of goes out of play right in the corner of the pitch and then you have like a line out down there, whatever. I don't like rugby, but it's a good move.
Sounds like you do, Ruben. Sounds like you do.
Now teams are actually doing that they're voluntarily giving the ball away for like a territorial gain. Which
your t-shirt's making me hungry. What is the pie on this t-shirt? What is
it's
this?
Just a pie.
It's just a pie.
The pie in your mind can have anything you want in it.
It's got cheese and potatoes.
Yeah.
It does look like a cheese and potato
Speaking of which,
pie.
welcome back.
Yeah.
Listen, we don't talk about it. We said that when we agreed to have John back. We said we wouldn't ever mention it again.
Okay, sorry.
Do you want to play the separation game there? You said you had a corker for us.
Yeah,
Is it cricket? Are you being distracted by cricket again?
England are 9 down now. With Chris Woke's going to have to come out and bat with one arm.
I don't even know what the score means. That you're
woke nonsense. Am I right?
Utter Chris Woke's nonsense. Yeah. Okay, let's tee up the celebration game then.
All right, the celebration game.
He's Freudian. This guy is Freudian.
Ruben, I'm going to have to come in now. Close the browser. Focus on the job. Come on.
Let's tee up the separation game.
Yeah,
there we go.
Mum and Dad. Mum and Dad. Sorry, I was still celebrating. I got confused. Yeah, go
on. One of these players is Steve's idea, and one of them is my idea.
Great.
Steve suggested, for no reason at all, Mario Melchiot.
Oh, okay, yeah. I like to think about Melchiot. That's nice.
He was Dutch defender.
Yeah.
And I scrolled through a few Wikipedia pages and landed on Jared Branthwaite of Everton.
Okay.
So, bit of a sort of 20-year gap between the two, I'd say.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, there you go. Listen, we'll go to a break, and when we get back, I'm sure one of us will have unfurled the mystery here. Enjoy whatever advertisement is about to play at you. Okay, we're back from our break. Ruben, over to you. Separation game.
Yes, I'd like to start this section by just briefly clarifying something from last week. So thank you to the listeners who pointed this out. I'm normally very good at picking this up. One of JJ's answers included it was James Milner supposedly playing with Gabriel Jesus at Man City. Of course, they missed each other by 2 years.
Right.
So let's amend that score by throwing in a teammate, a Fernandinho, for example, who played with both of them. But now that's over with, I'd like to know if any of you got it in one. No. 2? Any 2s?
2.
Couple of 2 2s?
2 2.
2 2s, Joe?
I didn't quite. I mean, I sort of gave up in the end. I not because it's not easily possible. I think it is, but because I followed about 4 different possible routes. Couldn't find the 2 that I knew these guys had, and so gave up. Instead, though, I would like to regale you very briefly with the fact that my attempted route took me through PSV Eindhoven, where Jared Branthwaite was on loan in 22-23. And there are some incredible players. in the PSV team.
That was
of
Ruud van
year.
Nistelrooy's team, wasn't it?
Was it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So Jared Branthwaite is one of them. Beyond that, here's other people whose names I recognise. Patrick Van Aanholt was there. Yes.
Palace legend.
Eagle legend. Eagle legend.
That's not a real name.
Ibrahim Sangare, of course, who's a player that Alex Stewart used to love and mention for every Sensible Transfers video. Beyond that, there was Xavi Simons was there at the time. Cody Kakpo was there. Torgan Hazard was also there. Nani Madueke, who's just moved to Arsenal, was there. Anwar El Ghazi. Savinho, who's now playing at Manchester City, was there too. Luke de Jong and Carlos Vinicius were there.
Wow.
I think that's probably about it.
He didn't win the league that season as well. Is that right? Am I right in saying that?
I don't know. Shall I check?
They won the cup, didn't they?
I'll check
Phenomenal.
while you...
Was Goetze there at the time? Or had he gone by then?
He was gone by then, I think.
Okay.
It doesn't appear on my list anyway. But
At
again, like
Eintracht
another
now.
player that was there around that time, right?
Yeah. Okay, well, never mind. Let's hear... Welcome back, John. Let's hear your two.
This is quite a fun route, I think, because what I've done is I've done a going back in time route. So I've like gone too far and then come back,
Oh,
and I've still
okay.
managed to get it in two.
That's
and it's
impressive.
a player like Jared Branthwaite. He's only been playing since like
Well,
2020.
That's
right?
why I
So
picked him.
It's
yeah.
quite fun. So I started off with Mario Melchior, who played with Victor Moses at Wigan.
Yes.
Victor Moses was playing football last season. Do you want to guess where?
Turkey?
No, in England.
Oh, he was at Luton, wasn't he?
He was at Luton.
Yeah.
Another person who was at Luton last season, Andros Townsend.
Wow.
He played one game
Wow.
in Luton last season, and Andros Townsend
Played at
overlapped at Everton with Jared Branthwaite.
Wow, that's great. That's
That
a
is
really
impressive.
good one.
I'm going to check if Andrew Townsend played a game. In the
He
same
did. I
season.
checked it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Victor
Yeah.
Moses makes me feel old because I remember
One
hearing
solitary
about
game.
Victor Moses coming through.
Yeah, I remember
at-
him being a
at-
really exciting young player at Palace.
Right, Palace youth ranks, right?
21-22.
Alas, and then immediately afterwards was
you're checking
Zaha.
out Everton.
You know,
Yeah.
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 Did Branthwaite and
They
Townsend?
must have both played in the same.
Well, Andros Townsend had a big injury at Everton.
Yeah.
So it depends if Branthwaite was at PSV when
No,
that
no,
happened.
21-22. He played 6 games for Everton. I will take that.
oh,
Well done, John.
Oh.
Very good.
Oh,
Kaya.
Well, it feels almost it's quite difficult to follow that now because that was so fun.
you were convinced there must be a one, though.
Well, it felt like there was a one. So the reason I felt there was a one, Mario Melchior finished his career at Wigan Athletic alongside Victor Moses, also alongside James McCarthy.
That's that was my route. That's
Yeah.
why I was looking for a
Another
one. as well,
legend.
yeah.
James McCarthy left Everton in 2019.
Yeah.
Jared Branthwaite arrived in the same
2020.
summer.
Yeah. It's such a shame. That's the route I went down, and when I gave up when I realised that there was no point just mentioning another Everton player.
Yeah,
There
I
must
just
be
chucked
an-
in
there must be a
Seamus
linked
Coleman.
player.
I chucked in just
because they both played in like all the same kind of teams at some point.
Yeah,
so there
well, I
must
was
have
looking
been.
at Pickford. Jordan Pickford had a loan spell at Carlisle, where Branthwaite started his career, but that is irrelevant to the separation game. Just a fun fact, really.
Yeah.
That is a fun fact.
I didn't know he was there,
Yeah.
Well, you both beat me because when I was creating this game, I had it in 3. But I also think it's quite fun. It's a real tour of the North. I went Melchior, Wigan, where he played with Lee Cattermole, one of few players to tuck his shirt in. And he played with Phil Barnsley at Sunderland, who played with James Tarkowski at Burnley,
Oh, nice.
who played with Jared Branthwaite at Everton,
That's
and
nice.
still does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That Wigan team is one of my favourites.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Emerson Boyce,
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Hugo
Maynor-
Rodiega,
Maynor Figueroa.
Charles Nzogbia,
Kumas as well,
Figueroa.
Jason Kumas.
Oh man, what a great team
Geordie
that
Gomez
was!
as well.
I distinctly remember I was working in a pub.
Antonio Valencia, Emil Heskey,
Yeah,
Kevin Kilbane.
Incredible. I was working in the old Red Lion Theatre pub in Angel, Islington, and which is, as I say, it's in Islington, so it's basically an Arsenal pub, which is why I find it funny to tease you, Kai, and other Arsenal fans, because I grew up teasing Arsenal fans. But do you remember the game where Wigan turned it around and beat Arsenal 3-2? It was just a Premier League game.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, I do remember it.
I don't remember that game.
And Zogbia scored like 2 goals in the last 2 minutes or something.
Yeah,
stupid
and
like
one of
that.
them
In
was
Wigan.
like from 40
Yeah,
yards
it was-
away.
it was
I don't
ridiculous.
remember.
At the JJB, as it would have been
put
back
us out,
then.
It
put
might
Arsenal
have
out of
been,
the
yeah.
title race as well.
It was
fantastic.
one of the best games of football I've ever, or one of the best endings to a game of football I've ever seen, and it was one of my favourite moments in the pub because Because this would apply. I'm not going to specifically pick on Arsenal fans. This applies to any group of fans. If you work in a pub in any area where it's dominated by one group, and then the pub is full, and they start to win, they think they're going to, there's an option of them winning the title still. They get a bit rowdy, they get a bit annoying, they start to take the piss out of you, they start to do stuff like, oh, you haven't topped my Guinness up after they've taken a big sip of it. Off, get out of it. Anyway, I never in my life have seen a pub turn as quiet as it did the moment that Charles Nzogba scored that winning goal. It was one of the best moments of my life. I absolutely adored it.
One of the beautiful things about football is the silence that a goal can create when everybody just...
hush.
Yeah.
So there's one who lets out a swear word that probably shouldn't be repeated on this podcast.
Yeah.
I watched the Leeds game against Villarreal this weekend. There's just a pre-season friendly. Clearly no Villarreal fans had come across. So when they scored, it was just like...
Dead.
Yeah.
It was like, it's quiet. I think I was having
for a while they had that in the Old Firm, didn't they? When away fans were banned. So you would get silence and brewing sectarian
The other experience
anger.
I had of that was last season. Arsenal, when they played PSG at the Emirates, I watched the game, but it was on Amazon Prime, so I actually just had the crowd noises on.
Right.
And that was another example of like when obviously
You're way too happy about this.
It was such an I don't know, the experience of like aesthetics that it went through, because you just don't usually hear that, and it was remarkable at like a rowdy crowd 4 minutes into a game, like a really big game for them, and then just silent.
And PSG fans are class as well, so they were loud for the rest of it as well.
Yeah.
We should do, I tell you, we're going to do this on an upcoming episode where we're going to look through every team and all the transfers they've done. But just because we've been a little bit cheekily mean about Arsenal, I'm going to just quickly say who they've signed, because we haven't heard from John. He's been away for a month. You mentioned this morning, John, that you think they've actually quietly done some interesting business. So far, those incomings are Kepa Arrizabalaga, Kepa Arrizabalaga.
Just gave up on consonants towards the end of that.
You can enunciate the G.
Arrizabalaga.
Yeah, that's better.
You got to have the G in there.
Arrizabalaga.
I thought it was Arrizabalaga.
No.
Depends where you're from.
That's
Genuinely not.
John's impression of Spanish. Arrizabalaga. But
Arrizabalaga.
I'll take that, yeah.
SOS.
Kepa
It's not
Arrizabalaga.
actually a Spanish name.
It's
Ruben.
Basque, of course.
Yes, well.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
And as we all know, they pronounce it
Kepa.
Christian Mosquera.
Yeah.
Martin Zubimendi.
Zubimendi, yeah.
Azubimendi. That's what you're saying, John, isn't it?
I'm just thinking of
Azubimendi?
David Moyes. David Moyes.
Iramendi.
Iramendi.
Christian Norgard, of course. That happened. I forgot about that one. Victor Gyökeres, of course, and then also Noni Madueke, the most recent one. John, you referenced that list and you said, actually, this is not bad business.
I think you're putting words into my mouth.
You said, I think you were like, oh, I'm quietly
No.
You said,
I think
I'm
you're confusing me.
confident about Arsenal.
We said
this
Arsenal are
season.
definitely going to win the league. You said Alex Barker was insane for predicting it.
You said
Alex Barker is insane.
You said
but-
they've subtly done quite a lot. They've quietly done quite a lot of business.
I think they've brought in a lot of players for sure, and I think that sort of. Having said that, I thought the transfer window was quite vulgar.
Vulgar
before.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have put Arsenal down as a team where I was like, oh, they've just signed everyone this window, but they've signed players. They've certainly made some decisions.
Right. What a neutral response. That's great.
Well, I don't know. There's things I don't understand about the Arsenal transfer window.
They've certainly made some decisions.
That's true. I mean, Christian Mosquera as a backup centre back, a good signing.
Great.
Zubimendi, they needed someone who is going to, tempo pivot for them.
Yeah.
Norgard, I don't know. Norgard is a funny one. I think Norgard is like it's like a signing that people will say is good and bad. Some people say he's good and they'd probably be wrong, and some people would say he's bad and they'd probably be wrong as well. I think
it's low risk, isn't it? It's £11 million for a DM to come on and like shut a game out, or like if you want to be a bit more defensive. It's like the Jorginho signing.
Yeah,
exactly. It's pretty low risk.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if they wanted to, they could have brought in a younger option there potentially. But I think Norgard will be fine. Gyökeres.
It's cricket's happening.
In the rugby.
Don't worry, John. Keep
What's
going.
that say? India win.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
Gyökeres. I mean, we don't need to talk about Gyökeres. It's been a conversation the whole summer.
Sure.
But again, it remains to be seen how well he fits in for them. And then Noni Madueke, a player I love, I think Chelsea shouldn't have sold.
Right.
But I also don't really understand the thinking with Madueke as an option for Arsenal. I think he can play off the left. But I think if you're spending that amount of money, you probably want a starter on the left,
right?
Rather than someone who, I don't know, he'll obviously back up Saka. I don't know. He had a good game against Everton from the left hand side, and it's sort of been interesting the way that Chelsea used him last season. I think I think it's fine when you're a club like Chelsea when they're like, oh, we've found that one of our strikers has got a drugs ban. One of our left wingers has a drugs ban. The other one probably plays better on the left. Let's try one of our right wingers on the left and see what happens. And they play well to spending what was 50, 60 million on Madueke and being like, hopefully this is a sustainable option. Could work. And there's no saying that it won't. But it seems to me like a bit of a gamble to spend that kind of money, not knowing whether or not it's a guaranteed success. So, Arsenal. I just find Arsenal such a fascinating team. I think, there's probably not been a team that is as good as Arsenal who have not won anything.
Oh, you started off on such a nice point there.
No, but that is a nice point. I think and there's an extent to which it's incredible that Arsenal haven't won anything, and they should have on the basis of like the situations they've been in.
Do you know what's quite interesting? This is going to sound really stupid, but on Saturday evening, you and I and one of our friends did some sporkling online. And one of the silly games we played, quiz game, was can you name all of the long list Ballon d'Or nominees from these different teams? Oh. So each quiz was a different team. One of the teams we did was Arsenal. And I was really surprised, given like...
How long is the list?
It's really long.
Right,
it's like...
it goes back to like the mid 50s, right?
Yeah, right. But also like defenders are getting on there. People who have no hope of ever winning here are on the list. Manchester United hadn't had anyone for a while. Wow. I think Bruno Fernandes was the last, or maybe Cristiano Ronaldo was the last nominee for Manchester United. But most of the big Premier League teams, we did Liverpool, we did Chelsea, we did Man City. There were every year they had like 2 or 3 people who were on the long list. Arsenal was surprisingly light.
Really?
Yeah, and it did.
Yeah.
Declan Rice was there. I think Bukayo Saka was there. But beyond that, they were surprisingly light. And it did make me wonder, maybe they still are a team that is getting more out of less. Do you know what I mean? When you look at the squad overall, like maybe
without the headline grabbing star attacker that wins.
Mikel Arteta's maybe doing quite a good job.
Yeah.
I haven't found the list of the one that we played, but I've got a list of
Odegaard to be in
the highest ranked. So this is the highest ranked since like the mid 90s. 92 is an early one. So the highest ranking that they have had in the Ballon d'Or is second in 2003.
Thierry Henry
should have won it.
Ned won it.
Before that, fourth, 97.
Of course, Arsenal fourth place.
Anelka? No, he was too young.
No. So in 97, who was in
place
there?
Finish,
Bergkamp.
Yeah. And then the next one is 7th in 1979. Liam Brady.
Yeah.
Cesc Fabregas, 8th, 2007.
Yeah.
Robin Van Persie, 9th, 2012. Alexis Sanchez, 10th, 2015. Jens Lehmann, 10th, 2006.
Jens Lehmann, 10th?
That's generous.
Yeah, there was a few...
2006 was the
Germany World Cup.
But it's also the year he got sent off in the Champions League final.
Still got that.
So Martin Odegaard is the highest current player.
Right.
He finished 19th in 2024.
Wow.
So Saka wasn't higher than 19th?
Saka 21 in 2024.
Okay. Fair enough.
Right.
Saliba 24.
I know it's not the most relevant
lots of good players.
metric, but it is.
No, I think it's the most relevant metric. Right?
Do you?
Yeah, for sure.
Great.
John famously thinks the Ballon d'Or is the be-all and end-all.
This is the area where data, I think, has really helped us. The Ballon d'Or.
The Ballon d'Or.
Joe, did you say sporkling?
Yeah.
Earlier, what is that?
Sporkle, the
quiz website.
Oh, I see.
These were verbs, Steve.
Have you been on Sporkle before, Steve?
It's where you only ever eat food using a combined spoon and fork.
A combine harvester.
Yeah.
The thing is, Steve, Hanky, when John and I and our friends play video games, sometimes people are in places where they don't have access to like bigger video games. So then we'll just do some sporkling. Where you're like, oh, I'm not near me console, or it's or
I wonder what you meant when you said we play with people internationally who can't access.
I'm actually out at dinner with my family, but I'll just keep going outside to go on Discord and play Sporkle.
Me and my friends used to do that at university, and we tried to name. My favourite one was naming every England player to be capped since the year 2000.
Right,
and this was in like 2016 to 2017. Nice. And I remember being on the phone to my then girlfriend and having to take the phone away to whisper to my friend, Graham Lasso.
Is that what sent you over the edge in the relationship?
That was the final straw from her point of view.
Yeah. I saw Graham Lasso over the weekend said that he thought Manchester United were going to have quite a good season. So he agrees with me.
That headed in a very different direction to the one that I thought it was going.
I saw Graham Lasso over
the weekend. I was like, really?
Yeah. Speaking of vulgar, John, I assume you found it vulgar when you saw the news that Son Heung-min intends to leave or has asked to leave Tottenham Hotspur. It was quite interesting the way that it's happened. It's a potential departure, obviously. There are no other teams referenced at the moment, but he came out in a pre-season press conference and he just sort of straight up told the media that he'd asked to leave. I mean, he has been there for 10 years. There are reports linking him to LAFC, a reunion with his former teammate Hugo Lloris, potentially. And the US is also home to the largest Korean population outside of Asia, writes Steve Hankey. The biggest contingent among them live in LA. That's what Steve Hankey wrote. I didn't say that.
Rumours are linking him to LAFC, which is why that is relevant.
Joe just said that.
Yeah. Carry on. Wasn't right in the title, don't worry.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear that he's going. I watched the game yesterday against Newcastle where he came off after 70 minutes or whatever, and the game stopped for 5 minutes.
Hugs and tears, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's pretty clear that he's going. And
seems that he's going.
I found it weirdly emotional, and I think maybe you started this off by saying vulgar in a fairly vulgar way.
Vulgar.
Yeah, exactly. But in many respects, Son is an outlier in that respect, right? It's very few and far between the amount of players we see now spending that amount of time at a club.
Sure. Worth saying he was signed in 2015 for £22 million. He scored 173 goals in 454 competitive matches across a 10-year spell.
Yeah. And he has the really nice bookend, I think, of the Europa League. And I think that...
Oh, yeah, they won the Europa League.
And he was captain, obviously, because Kane had left.
But I think that almost adds another layer, because he said he was going to stay until Spurs won something, which is I guess a bold thing to say, but it's nice for him to be committed to a club and help them win that tournament, and then leave almost with that sense of. And I don't think we get that a lot maybe in football, which we had more, but this idea that you can sort of bookend your career, it sort of ties off in a neat bow what you've been. So.
I saw a really. I saw a tweet related to this by our friend and colleague David Ornstein from the year 2015, when in the summer that he signed, when somebody had captioned it a sliding doors moment. And David's tweet read, Tottenham considering ending interest in Saido Berahino, but in talks with Bayer Leverkusen to sign Korean forward Heung-min Son.
Wow.
Imagine.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember his first goal for Spurs, I think, or his first game. I'm not sure it was his first goal on his debut or whatever, but it was against Palace. In 2015, and then, but the first 2 seasons that he was at Spurs, he kind of struggled to get into the team a little bit because Eric Lamela was still quite good, and Dele Alli was scoring a lot of goals, and Christian Eriksen was obviously kind of undroppable. And then in his second season, they switched to a back three, which had obviously one less forward position in that team, so him and Lamela played a bit less. But then from 2017 onwards, he just got better and better. And his goal catalogue, if you watch compilation of his Spurs goals, it's so much more fun than a lot of other high-scoring wingers, and a lot of them with his weak foot. He was brilliant player.
Well, he's completely ambidextrous, isn't he, in many respects? I never really like talking about ball striking, because people just tend to mean like can score goals when they say good at ball striking, but very few players, maybe Kevin De Bruyne up there as well, who can hit the ball so well with both feet in a goal-scoring capacity.
Yeah. Well, I suppose the nicest thing we could say is that it's perhaps one of the best ever avoiding of national services I've ever seen. Most impressive.
Respect.
Big respect
I loved how Spurs used the cheers, Son's
Yeah,
crying.
that was great.
On their Instagram as well.
After he came off, yeah, that's good.
Well, Jay Harris has done a lot of reporting around that and has written a few more pieces about it. So if you want to read some of those, you can do that on The Athletic. But for now, I think we'll say goodbye and then we'll come back next week. And we were going to talk about the promoted teams today, but we ran out of time. So hopefully we find some time this season before they get relegated again. Hopefully.
We have been promising this for about 2 months as well. So.
No, we're prepared. Ruben, thank you.
Thank you.
John McKenzie.
Yeah, thank you.
Kaya Kaina.
Thank you.
Superb. All right. See you next week. Bye.